The Lenovo IdeaPad S940 is a fantastic looking Windows laptop, honestly one of the best. The display is very nice, the keyboard is a joy to type on, but with all that said, for the asking price, we would suggest looking elsewhere because of a few different things that really stand out to us. But along with that, there's also a specific group of people that will absolutely enjoy this laptop, and I'll cover that in just a bit. There's also a way that you could save a good amount of money if you're trying to buy one of these. I'll be covering that as well. Now it's obvious that we are Mac fans around here, and coming from that background, I have to say that I love the design. It's very MacBook without copying a MacBook. In fact, many will actually even prefer this design. I love how the front and the back kind of slope forward and the little minimally beveled edges on the inside. Along with that, I really like how the badging is very minimal right here at the lower bottom side on both the lid and on the inside as well, if I can get this thing open. There you go. With that, we have a slightly curved and shaped bezel all around, presenting a flat portion right over here that makes it really easy to open, and with the nice 9 series logo elegantly embossed. The unibody aluminum chassis feels great in the hand, but has a bit too much flex for our liking, and the overall build quality is below Apple's with some misaligned panels. The touchpad is a decent size with very good, almost uniform clicking, but cursor control is below average. At the top right, we have a slim power button with LED indicator, which doesn't include a fingerprint scanner, but that's totally fine by us since the S940 offers Windows Hello Facial unlocking that we absolutely love. Below the 720p HD webcam and the IR sensor, our model has a gorgeous non-touch 500 nit 100% sRGB 4K display capable of HDR playback, but there is also a 400 nit 1080p option that will help with battery life, but more on battery in just a bit. The quad speakers are user-facing with Dolby tuning and sound above average for an ultra-light Windows laptop, a surprising 2.6 pounds in this case, but it can't keep up with Apple's $1,100 MacBook Air or similarly priced 13-inch MacBook Pros. At the center is probably the best feature of the laptop, and that is the backlit keyboard. The key travel is just long enough to feel great, but still stay thin, and with enough pressure required to eliminate mistypes without feeling too clicky, and with dampening without being too mushy. If you type a lot, this is one of the best keyboards in any laptop that is this thin and light. On the sides, we have a headphone mic combo jack along with 3 ports, 2 being full speed Thunderbolt 3 and the other USB Type-C, but for some reason it's only USB-C Gen 1, meaning that the speed is only half of what it could be. Now, being MacBook fans, we're used to only having USB Type-C ports, but it still is a bit disappointing to see a $2,000 laptop with less ports than Apple's equivalent that gets so much hate for being a dongle book. Our S940 has 512 gigabytes of NVMe SSD running at a super fast 3,341 megabytes per second read and 1939 megabytes per second write, which is refreshing compared to other ultrabooks that skimp on SSDs. So far, this Lenovo is sounding very good overall, but this is where I have to get to the few weak spots of this beautiful Ultrabook, and even though there's not that many of them to complain about, these can really make or break your decision. First off, the webcam both looks poor and sounds really muffled.
This is an audio and video quality test on the Lenovo IdeaPad S940.
Second is the battery life. It makes sense that Lenovo could only fit a 52 watt-hour battery in this ultra-thin machine, but pairing it to a 500 nit 4K display results in really poor battery life. Lenovo rates it at 7.5 hours of battery life, which in the real world is closer to 5 hours with usable display brightness levels. If you want to go with a very color accurate, gorgeous HDR display, this places it at the bottom of the market for battery life. Now, opting for the 1080p display will about double battery life, but that's a big trade-off since it's not as bright and is much lower quality overall. Personally, we wish that they would have split it right in the middle like Huawei or Apple, with a resolution kind of between 1080p and 4K. That will still give you a detailed image and 10 hours of battery life while maintaining 500 nits of brightness. But instead, you have to choose from a top-notch, bright 4K display with poor battery life, or an average 1080p display with good battery life, and that choice is hard to make. The last downside is the performance. The spec sheet sounds very promising with an 8th gen quad-core 1.8 GHz i7 processor that can boost all the way up to 4.6 GHz, but running a few tests gave us disappointing results. The similarly priced 13-inch MacBook Pro scored about 40% higher in Geekbench 4 and almost 60% higher in Cinebench R20, where all of the cores are maxed out, even though the MacBook is an i5 CPU, not an i7. Even comparing it to a $1,300 base 1.4 GHz i5 MacBook Pro, the Lenovo S940 falls really far behind. How is that possible, you may ask? Well, the CPUs in both of these machines are rated at 15 watts, but the Lenovo is not letting the i7 run higher than that, where the MacBook can continuously run at about 30 watts. And yes, that's with all of the power saving features turned off and with the S940 plugged in, while the MacBook Pros are on battery power without having to find and change any power options. Other Windows laptops don't limit the CPU as much, but I could see why Lenovo is doing this given the power draw of the bright 4K display and because of the smaller battery capacity. Processor performance isn't the only downside, but the Intel UHD Graphics 620 did struggle a bit with the 4K display, causing occasional UI stutters and also sometimes when playing back 4K YouTube videos. Of course, the same GPU is used in most Windows equivalents, but most of those have lower resolutions, and the 1080p version of the S940 shouldn't have these issues. Now on the Mac side, Apple pays more for Intel chips with Iris graphics, which provide more than double the performance as you could see here in our Geekbench OpenCL test. These downsides paired with a $2,000 MSRP make the S940 a laptop that's hard to recommend, even though we really like a lot about it. This is a really nice aluminum, ultra thin and light machine with only USB Type-C ports and a gorgeous display at a premium price. Almost like you're buying a Windows version of a MacBook. We did a side-by-side comparison that you can check out by using the card at the end of this video, and the MacBook Pro has much better performance, has 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports, much better speakers and trackpad, a better webcam, it has Touch ID instead of Windows Hello, and about double the battery life while having an almost as sharp display with better color accuracy and similar brightness. You don't have HDR for videos and the keyboard is a ways behind, but overall it provides a much better value for the price. Now the main reason why we're comparing it to a MacBook Pro is because Lenovo prioritized many things that Apple does and at a similar price point. But of course, not everybody wants a Mac, and that's where the new XPS 9580 or Razer Blade Stealth come in, both having better port options, improved performance, and a lower regular price, which make the S940 a hard sell. But there is one redeeming factor, and that's the good discounts that Lenovo offers on their own website, which we will link down in the description. Prices do change, but right now the $1,800 model is $360 off, which is still only $60 cheaper than a similarly equipped MacBook Pro. But at least at that price, I can actually recommend it to one group of people, those who do a lot of typing. For most people, even at that price, a MacBook or XPS is probably a better choice. But if you prioritize design and want a thin and light Windows laptop that has a gorgeous screen to look at while you type away at the top-notch keyboard for up to 5 hours at a time, the Lenovo S940 will be a fantastic laptop for your needs. But if you care about performance, battery life, ports, and value more than you do design, then you should look elsewhere. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Max with Max Tech. Go ahead and click that little circle above if you guys want to subscribe and enable those notifications below. And if you want to see our full comparison of the Lenovo S940 against the similar priced MacBook Pro, you guys can click right over there. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.